Hey guys, my name's John. I'm with Grumpy's Metal. Today I'm going to rebuild a 1966 VW bus sunroof assembly. This will cover 1951 to 1967. 1966 is 21 window, but this video will also cover the 23 window and the standard sunroof bus. We're starting with an original assembly that we've gone through. We've powder coated the header bow, blasted the trailer bows. The center lock's been CAD plated and the lower bow's been powder coated. We've got a rebuild kit here that's available through vwsunroofs.com or deluxesamba.com. We've got some new spring bars also available there. We've got the original hardware here, which has the original hook and some miscellaneous hardware. But over here we've got some additional parts that are available through deluxesamba.com or vwsunroofs.com. We can get into what they are a little bit later. It's a side tension strip, header bow seal, some finishing screws and hardware, screws and washers, the spring, some rivets, a bunch of miscellaneous stuff. I'll show that to you later. But for now, I just want to show you that we're building this trailer bow. So we'll go through all the parts in the end here, how they go together, how the rivet goes in here on each end. All these parts, the soft parts, are available in the kits. And we're also going to build the complete locking unit. This happens to be a brand new locking unit, which is also available through deluxesamba.com or vwsunroofs.com. It goes together exactly the same way. So we'll be doing the center lock, the hook, all the hardware, the slides, and all that stuff's either here or here, and I'll call it out and I'll show you what it is. Let's get started by clearing off the table, getting just the parts we need, and we'll go through one bow at a time. And I'll try to explain where everything goes so you can do the work at home. If you don't want to do the work, you can always send it in, and we offer a rebuild service where we do this. So let's get started. Here we've laid out all our parts for the header bow rebuild. The rebuild kit, a 10mm ratchet, Phillips, the slotted screwdriver, a handle, our re-zinc plated center lock, a new hook and spring, new header bow hardware, and 2 trailer bow rivets. Also, you're going to need a rivet gun to install them. Included in the soft parts rebuild kit for the bus is the header bow rebuild kit. It's the outer slide, the inner slides, and the boots. They mount here. So this is going to mount here, the inner mounts here, and then the little boot will go on the steel tube on the very end. And this covers both sides. Over here, we have the tools required. It's just a 10mm ratchet. You could also use a wrench, Phillips, flat. This happens to be an early handle, but any Volkswagen handle will work. A door crank, window crank. You're going to need that. Here we have the hook, which will go here, and the hardware for the hook, which is a wave washer, a solid washer, and the bolt. And the spring will go on last, right here on this nub, and here on this barb. This hardware is also for the center lock to the lower bow. This hardware will mount underneath, this will mount in the front, and this will go in the center of the shaft. I'll show you that in a moment. First, we're going to take the center lock, place it in here, and grease it. I like to use lithium. After it comes back from CAD plate, it's missing all the grease, and this helps it turn smoothly and not wear. Just get it inside the cam slots. Just wiping that down. Take our hardware here. I'll just turn that by hand just to get it started. There we go. That one's going. One more here. When I put stuff together, I like to get all the hardware in it and then tighten it all at the same time. On the underside, we're going to start here with the center lock. These are those Phillips ovals. Get a couple threads on that. Then just sight down here. And if it's not lined up, take the handle and turn it and visually look and get it lined up. So now that they're lined up, you'll be able to just get the screw in there Perfect. That one went. One more. Those are done. Two more over here. And that one went in. So we've got all the hardware in. It's just loose. We'll leave it that way. We'll tighten everything all at the same time. The next thing will be the hook. This little guy needs to be in the back here. You'll notice that when you turn the handle, it turns. So this actually controls the position of the hook. So make sure that that's towards you. Slide the hook in there. Using your hardware, the spring washer, the little wave washer goes first. Then this washer and the bolt. You can tighten that all the way down right now or do it last. Either way, try to make sure that the wave washer is centered. There we go. So that's done. I'm going to open it back up. Just like that. Now we're going to do the spring. So there's the spring. Open that up. So there's two sides to the spring. The larger side goes on the barb like that, and the smaller side goes on the hook itself. You may need to force it down either with your thumb, like that, or use the head of a screwdriver and just pop it down. So now we've got the hook on, the bolt, all the hardware. We're going to assemble the spring bars. This is the header bow spring bar bracket. This is the outer slide and the inner slide. You can remove the hardware by hand or use a screwdriver. Take all the hardware out. So here we're going to line up these holes with these. So once they're lined up like that, we're going to then put a screw in it. Just get that started. So there, I've got it on, it's loose. Then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to line these three holes up with these three here. So here we've lined up the outer slide with the three holes like that. I'm going to set it down and then drive the screws through the holes, starting with the middle one. Middle hole, get that started. Put the other two in. Now that my two slides are on, I'm going to set it down and I'm going to drive it in with the driver. There we go. It's installed, nice and tight. Inner slide, outer slide. That one's done. Now we'll do the other side. This is facing out, the little L is going out. So both are done. This is the left and this is the right. Let's tighten up all the hardware here. These should just be hand tight. Done. Now that that's done, if you want, you could just check it. Make sure everything's still functioning properly. Nice and smooth. Cool. Now we're going to put on the header bow spring bar brackets. We're using the new hardware, which is here. When you're putting the bracket on, just center them along the holes. That'll give you the right spacing. It should just slide right in. Your upholsterer, when he does the upholstery, can do any final adjustment, but it should be good. I'm going to just center it. There we go, right there. And then I'm going to torque it one at a time, going back and forth between the three. Snug them down. Now we're going to do the other side. So again, I'm going to just center it here with these bolts. Just do them hand tight. And then side them down. They are still on center. Great, so we're almost there. The job's almost done. Next is going to be this rear bow. So here's the rear bow. And you can tell the rear bow, this front bow, from the other bows. So it's not the rear bow, it's the header bow. The way you can tell, we left it over here. Let me grab one so you guys can see. Sorry. So you'll see that where the hole location is different and the bows look different. This is a little bit shorter from the hole to the end. We have two brand new rivets. Just goes in there like that. What's really important here is that it's close, that they're up against each other when we crush the rivet. So I can sight this, I see it. There we go. And you can see here, there's no gap between the two pieces of metal. So that's perfect. That's just what we want right there. We need to do the same thing on the other side. And then again, this goes here. Push them together and then squeeze. There we go. Nice. That worked out great. So you guys can see here, right here, and right here, it's nice and flush. That's what you're shooting for. We had a couple more parts we need to go through, which are these right here, the little boots. They're going to slide on the end. That just slides right on right there. This one slides on this end. Last thing is the upper cover. Because it was powder coated, there's a little bit of powder right here on this bracket. In here. And so we're going to ream that out with an 8mm reamer. We're going to lube this bracket right here and this bracket here. So that's slid together. I'm flipping it over so you can see it. You can see the bracket on the header bow, upper header bow, goes to the tensioner. In order to get those lined up, we have to open the assembly. So now with the assembly open, it's adjustable. Just get in here and move the tensioner around until it lines up with the hole. That one went in there. Do the same on the other side. So just move the tensioner back and forth until you get it lined up. So that's that one there. Now try and get a couple threads on it. I don't know that I got some there. I'll try this side and see what I get. Okay, it's not threading. Sometimes this happens. It's not a problem. It's not threading. This is an original bow. You just kind of have to go back and forth. To get the hardware to thread. So I'm actually sticking my fingers inside the header bow here. And I'm just going to lift back and forth while I turn it. There we go. And I got the threads. So I got some threads here. I'm going to do the same to the other side. So I'm going to turn it and also move the upper and lower bow apart at the same time. There we go. And I grab the threads. I'll tighten this one all the way down. And back to this side. And I'll tighten this one all the way down. Cool. All right. So I know these are tight. I went through these. I tightened these. All my hardware is tight. There's only one more thing on the table, and that's this little guy. He's a dampener, and it goes right in the center of the shaft here, right here. It creates tension between the handle so it's not loose. I'm going to just take a little bit of lithium, just like that. It's going to make it go in a little bit easier because it's a press fit. There we go. It went right in, and it's done. So that's the whole locking unit. We've gone through it. Just make sure it works. I'm going to operate it in the normal position. There it goes. Nice and smooth. Looks beautiful. That's going to work really well in your car. Now we're going to assemble the aluminum bows. These are called tensioning hoops, trailer bows. So we're going to build the whole assembly now. We've got the aluminum bow. This is an original bow that was blasted. This is an original bow that was straightened, re-arced, and then powder coated. Here we've got a spring bar. These are actually new from vwsunroofs.com, also available on deluxesamba.com. If you want to test yours, just grab it and try and bend it, and it should fight you on it. It shouldn't want to take a bend. So just check it like that. If it bends and stays bent, replace it. If it fights you, then use it. We've got the soft parts rebuild kit for the trailer bow. It's here. Lay out those parts and see what we have. We have 2 inner slides, 2 dampeners. These go with the dampeners. They go there. I'm going to lay all these out so you see how they go. These are the slides. These are the easy slides. This will actually help your assembly slide forward and back and do less of that binding that a lot of assemblies do. By using the longer slide, it's a smoother transition forward and back. So we've got those. These little boots go on the end of the tensioning hoop on the ends here. And then we've got the sex bolts. These are late model. They're a countersunk head to accommodate the bow. We're going to start by placing the dampener first. With the empty hole on the outside, that's actually for the headliner screw. Sight down so you can see through all 3 holes. So I'm sighting down, I can see all 3 holes. Then we're going to take the phenolic. This is the inner slide. This one here is for the headliner, and it's the furthest one on the outside. We'll place it in there. So it should look like that. Next is the sponge rubber. Again, sighting down, I can see through the holes. On this, there's only 2 holes. That's okay. I can see all the way through the hole. Whoops. And they're still lined up. Great. Then the spring bar. Spring bar goes here. It's got these 2 holes, and they need to be lined up. They go there. Keep your finger on that. Under your screws or your hardware. These are sex bolts. They're exact reproduction of the original. I've got one in right here, and I'm holding the whole assembly together. I'm going to push this through right there like that. Grab my Phillips drive, and just try and get a couple threads on it. I can feel it threading now. There, it's got a little bit of tension. I'm going to just leave that like that. Grab another sex bolt. Pop that one through the top. This one through the bottom. Just turn it by hand. Try and get a couple threads, and there we go. We got them. Cool. So don't over tighten these right now. Don't over tighten them at all. Just leave them loose. When you go to slide this in, you're going to adjust it. And that's what those sex bolts are there for. The sponge rubber and the sex bolts are for the adjustment of the slide. So that side's done. We're going to do the other side. It's really not that complicated. You guys can do this at home in your garage. Just take your time, line everything up. The next one, again, Get a couple threads on it. There it went. Now that we've got the hardware in, here and here, it's just finger tight. We're going to put the tensioning hoop on, take our 2 rivets. One goes in here, right into that hole in the spring bar, like that. The important thing here is that these are flush when we crush the rivet. So it's not flush right now. It's not even in right now. Doesn't have to be flush right now, but when we crush the rivet, we have to hold them together like that. So if it's flush now, we can go ahead and pull that trigger. Like that. Let me show you guys what that looks like. Here, it's flush. And so when we crush it, it has to be flush. Hold it flush when you crush the rivet. There we go. And that one's flush. The last bits are these little boots, they go on the end. So we're just going to slide them on here, onto the tensioning hoop, like so. And on this side, there we go, like that. This bow's almost done. Last thing are these slides. The orientation of the slides is like so. So just like this angles down and away, so does the slide. The slide angles down and away. I'll pull the hardware out by hand. Line the slide up, grab the hardware. Get a couple threads on it and do the other side. I got a couple threads on that. We're going to do the other side, same way. Sight down through the holes. There we go. Couple threads there. Couple threads there. So now that I've got a couple threads on each side, I'll use the driver. Makes it a lot easier. And I've just gone back and forth between the two. I'll do the same thing here. Do the other side. And go back. And go back. There we go. And so that's done. That's the easy slide. And look at the angle. So the angle here is down and the angle here is down. They match. So that's it. That's the aluminum bow, the trailer bow. All three are the same. So the other two are done exactly the same way this one is done. All the parts are interchangeable. Every part's the same for the 3 bows. So we've got the entire assembly together. There's one more detail, and it's this rivet right here. We did a total of 8 rivets, and we're going to come back and crush them with a hammer. So this one hasn't been crushed yet. I'll show you one that has been crushed. This one here has been crushed. So what that does, it just snugs it up. And we're going to go out to the shop right now and show you how that's done. So here's the rivet. You can see that it hasn't been crushed. So we're just going to leave it there. I've got a 3-pound sledge. And that's it. That one's crushed. We'll do the other side. That one's crushed. We'll do all 8 and be done. This is what the entire assembly is going to look like once it's finished. When we do a rebuild, we package it back up in one of our boxes and we ship it back out to the customer. There are some additional parts this particular assembly was going to need. They're here. We had some out earlier. we'll talk about those now, item by item. If you need them, you can always get them at vwsunroofs.com or deluxesamba.com. And so I'm going to pull this off and show you those parts now. Hey guys, so there were some additional parts that we were talking about earlier. I'm going to get to those details now. They're required when you do the install of the canvas and the headliner. We're not going to do an install of canvas headliner now, but I am going to show you some additional parts and kind of where they go so you know and your upholsterer will know, or you could reference this video. The first is this. This is the side tension strip. They are sold in a pair. They are required whenever you do a canvas or headliner. This strip right here, let's see if we can get it out, will run all the way down the assembly. It goes here on the header bow. It goes underneath this bolt and into this tapped area right here on the spring bar bracket. Okay, this is factory. These are factory locations. And it covers the bolts. Your upholsterer is going to poke 2 holes, and he's going to use 1 bolt, and the 1 screw goes there. We have the hardware already. It's here. It is sold separately. Your upholsterer can provide this for you, or you can buy it from one of the websites. After it runs down from here, it goes to the next bow. The next bow, it goes right here in these 2 holes. And your upholsterer needs to, again, put 2 holes in the side tension strap and attach it there, and all the way down to the other 2 bows. The purpose of this strap is actually so once everything's all upholstered in together and you're pulling on the assembly, you're pulling on this material instead of on the seams of the headliner. If you're pulling on the seams of the headliner, it would start to come undone and tear. This strap is really important. So you guys need to make sure you have one of these when you do the headliner or the canvas. Next are the spring bar cover plates. So these are new. This assembly didn't have them when they came in. They actually go under here on the aluminum bows. So there's a total of 6, 3 on one side, and then there'll be 3 on the other side. They just tuck under. So they tuck under this little notch right here, and they cover the edges of the hardware so that when you do put a canvas or vinyl cover on, you can't see the edges of the hardware. There's some finishing washers. These are the finishing washers. They're stainless steel and chrome. They've got a closed back, so this is the screw, or this is the washer, and these are the screws. Here's our hardware. It's stainless steel and a chrome washer with a closed back. And let me grab an original one. So there's an original one. So they used a zinc originally. It's a chrome washer with a zinc closed back as well. And so when you look at the 2, you can see that dimensionally they're the same. So we've done that. We've reproduced every single part of the assembly down to the washers. And these will go on the outside of the canvas right through here. So they go through the spring bar cover plate, into the spring bar, and they're on top of the canvas, which we don't have laid out here. There's some additional hardware, which is here. The finishing washers are the same. The screws are a little bit longer, and they go on the underside for the headliner. So with the headliner installed, these washers go through the headliner. The screw goes into the phenolic slide. The phenolic slide's already tapped. You'll have the headliner installed, and the upholsterer will just thread that in like that. And that'll hold the end of the centerpiece of the headliner up to the assembly. And it takes one screw and 1 washer per end of the bow. That's a total of 6. So we have 6 of these laid out. We have stainless steel slotted screws for the rails. We have the rear tension strip clip, washer, and screw, and clip. This goes on the outside of the canvas through the rear tension strip, through that hole. There'll be canvas or vinyl here. This is the outside of the car. And they actually go forward like that towards the front of the car. And there's going to be a piece of canvas between the clip and this rear strap. This holds the canvas down. So this is the upper header bow cover. We've taken it off just to show you. Right here on the underside gets this seal. So this is a header bow seal. They came originally. We scraped off what was left before we sent it out to powder coat. The upholsterer who's doing the work will spray all this down, rough this up, spray it down with upholstery glue. They're going to take the seal and install it. It will go right along this edge. When you install this seal, you want to install it about an 1/8 inch back from the edge. It's going to be bonded in all the way around. So along the edge, all the way. Your upholsterer is going to do this work for you. Then the canvas will go over and down and cover that seal. All this will be sprayed with upholstery glue. This will be installed forward. The canvas goes all the way to the back. Your upholsterer is going to slide this on there and there and put those bolts back. He's going to be doing the side tension strap, the cover, the seal, and all those things for you. That's basically how it goes together. A competent upholsterer in your area can take care of all the work for you. As far as the parts, we have everything in stock. Really appreciate you watching the video. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Thank you.